Folks, welcome into That Betting Show, March 19th, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs right here at sportsbookreview.com. The dance has begun. He's Teddy Sabransky. Give him a follow at Teddy_Covers on Twitter. I'm Donnie Seymour at Rightside VP. We'll get right into it. The long dance begins, Teddy. Don't be left on that dance floor without a date. Let's get it started tonight in Dayton, Ohio. The first four, the final four, actually it can't be called the final four. The first four gets underway in Dayton, Teddy. Looking forward to it. One matchup here kind of interesting tonight, but another matchup looks more CIT bound than actual NCAA bound, Teddy.
Yeah, certainly when it comes to Fairleigh Dickinson versus Prairie View, and we'll break it down a little bit later in the show, but it's not exactly a marquee matchup by NCAA tournament standards, even as the lid lifter for the tournament. And look, let me say this. I'm not a huge fan of the field growing from 64 to 68. It's been 9 years now. But you know what's happened since this change by the NCAA has occurred? Number one, we get good stuff to watch Tuesday night and Wednesday night. Number two, you don't have teams that deserve it getting snubbed. And that's what makes me like a game between Prairie View and Fairleigh Dickinson tonight, although Temple Belmont's the one we're all looking forward to.
No, it should be a lot of fun. I made a couple jokes here on Twitter today. You know, this is the time that we refire up, and it's 6:40 p.m. Eastern time, 3:40 out on the Pacific. Yo, let's turn on the game. What channel is this game on, Teddy? Oh, yeah, True TV, the one time of the year that we actually change the dials to True TV. But getting into a betting perspective here in the tournament itself, Teddy, interesting thing that always pops up year after year after year. Now that betting obviously being turned on in more states seemingly by every week, every month, you know, getting involved in this. Talk about just a little bit, Teddy, before we get the show rolling, betting in your brackets as opposed to betting like a game-by-game basis, because they're two completely different approaches that you want to take. And the one most important thing that I always keep involved is just because you have them in your bracket in the second round, don't let that sway your opinion on that second round game with the spread.
Yeah, that's key, because brackets are something you're going to do before the tournament starts. Once the tournament starts, you take your bracket and you forget about it until the Final Four and you say, oh, wow, I might win something. Maybe I got a hedge. Literally, that's what you do with brackets. If you want to bet seriously, fill out as many as you want. Fill out 100, fill out 1,000. I don't care. But don't think for a minute that your brackets have anything to do with your betting strategy throughout the course of the tournament. And it's okay if you had an opinion prior to the tournament about what could happen for a second round matchup. You want to use that opinion, that's great, but it's okay to change your opinion. And for God's sakes, point spreads matter, seeding doesn't. Let me say it again. Point spreads matter, seeding doesn't. Whether you're filling out brackets or whether you're betting, keep that one mantra in mind. It is, in my mind, the biggest difference between sharps and squares at this time of the year. Sharps don't care about where you're seated. They only care about what the point spread is.
Yeah, it should be a good one. They're two good coaches, Fran Dunphy and Rick Berg, going to tee it up tonight in the late game there in Dayton. But also one of the more interesting ones that you're already seeing a look ahead, Teddy, because Maryland, one of the youngest teams in the tournament, they're going to match up against either Belmont or Temple. And the next game should be a tough one, maybe an upset-ready game. NBA played last night, but Westbrook did not play last night for the Thunder. And boy, did they miss him last night as the Heat go and handle the Thunder and take the ticket. But the one thing that we talked about yesterday on the show, Teddy, with Watch What You Bet, how good the Spurs are at home as an underdog. They improved with yet another victory over the Warriors last night.
Shh, we probably shouldn't have talked about it. Spurs have been a nice little moneymaker for me. Cashed another ticket last night. 8-1 as a home dog this season with pretty much a wire-to-wire win over Golden State. And again, it wasn't a great spot for the Warriors last night, coming off two huge road victories to open the road trip. But nonetheless, San Antonio jumped out to the lead. They withstood the challenge, and they came away looking like a dangerous team come the postseason. We haven't been talking about the Spurs as legit contenders in the West. Maybe we're talking about them a little bit more now after they knocked off the Warriors last night.
Yeah, an interesting night in the NBA. It's a shame because we'll talk a little bit later here. If you bought a ticket, maybe Teddy, you surprised your son on a Christmas day, said, look, I got you Bucks Lakers tickets, LeBron, Giannis. Looking at the latest updates there, neither one of those is going to play, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Teddy, let's talk about something of the free roll variety. We're talking about the NCAA tournament. We're talking about betting games and winning, brackets and everything. But don't forget about SBRodds.com and Sportsbook Review coming together with Bovada Monday night for a free roll. $1,000 in cash prizes for the tournament. But if you take down and be the champion in this tournament, Teddy, you're headed to the Final Four. And that includes 2 tickets to the Final Four, 2 round-trip flights, and also 4 nights in the hotel. Spending money, taxis, and food, it's free. It's me, Teddy. What a great deal.
I mean, look, I've never been to the Final Four. I haven't. And from a betting standpoint, I'd much rather go to a Final Four than to go somewhere for like the first round, when there's all these games going on. Final Four, you can go and enjoy and make a couple of bets, but it's not insane. You get it for free. Why not check it out? Obviously, sportsbookreview.com. Keep the lights on for these guys. They're paying our bills.
Also, Teddy, the best part about that is it's better to go to the Final Four when you're not paying for it. And we're giving you the opportunity to that, so it should be a fun tournament there. Major League Baseball, first look. Teddy, you're going to have to be up pretty early tomorrow morning. We'll get to that a little bit later. But let's first take a look at those Chicago Cubs, 95-68 in 2018. Currently sitting, Teddy, at a 14-1 ticket to win the World Series. Team total set at 88. It's going to be a tough division because there's some other teams lurking in that division, like the Cardinals, like the Brewers, that are going to be good as well. Same old anchors in the infield, Rizzo and Bryant, but Javi Baez with 290 last year with 34 bombs, going to help them out. Outfielder with the speedy Albert Almora Jr. out there. Schwarber looking for a little bit of a bounce back. Veteran pitching staff, a little bit injured last year coming back. They have the makings of a really good baseball team, Teddy, and that's a really good division.
Sure. I mean, again, they won 95 games last year. They're being lined as an 88-win team this year. And at 95 wins last year, the Cubs were basically break even. No profit for their backers, despite being a 95-win team. The thing that worries me most about the Cubs, well, there's a couple things that worry me about the Cubs, but certainly it's a lineup that all of a sudden, there's a little bit of age in Chicago. We talk about, young and up-and-comers. Now we got a couple guys coming off disappointing season. You got Baez coming off a career year. And it's not the young up-and-comers anymore. The pitching staff is old. Lester's old. Hamels is old. Darvish is old. Quintana was not a 7-inning dominant hurler last year, any stretch of the imagination. So I worry a little bit about that pitching staff, and I worry about the ability for bettors to make a consistent profit with the Cubs, because when it comes to public teams, Chicago's as good as it gets at the MLB level. You know that with that pitching staff, there's going to be a tax associated with the Cubs on a game-in, game-out basis. I don't think they'll be profitable again this year, even if they come close to winning 100 games and fly over their season win total.
Yeah, you're talking about there a couple injured guys as well, looking for bounce back. Jason Hayward, $100 million player coming over, hasn't lived up to expectations. Yu Darvish, only pitching 8 games last year, Teddy. They're going to look for bounce backs there. But as you get older, your injuries usually don't improve. It usually compounds that. We'll see if the Cubs can make it through. But obviously, Major League Baseball will be here tomorrow morning. Overnight line movers, Teddy, SBRodds.com, the best place on the internet to check out those odds. They never stop moving 24/7. And how about this one? Chris opens the Sixers at a total of 223.5. Some injury information out there. We're currently sitting at 224 with a spread. The Hornets getting plus 1.5 at home. No Embiid, no Zeller. Sixers. Now, here's also an important one as well, Teddy. Sixers go down on that back-to-back. They got Boston waiting for them in Philadelphia. Is their mindset maybe a little bit different, saying, boy, we really can't wait to play Boston. Let's get rested up. But can't forget to actually put that team on the court and maybe pick up a W.
In some ways, it feels like a throwaway game for the Sixers. As soon as they say we're sitting Embiid today, it's like, okay, we're not chasing the 2 seed anymore. Philly, they want to lock into the 3 seed, and that's that. Because it's basically a pick'em game against a playoff contender. And the Sixers are like, no, this game isn't going to be our balls to the wall game, which explains why the Hornets are favored, and perhaps explains a little bit why we've seen this total bouncing around. Obviously, without Embiid on the one side, the best defender, low post defender, certainly, an impactful low post defender on the one side. Cody Zeller, who is not a stud, but he's an impactful low post defender on the other side. Zeller's not supposed to play either. So both teams missing their low post defender, which could lead to extra offense.
Yeah, and you sent up that little flag there because we're not talking about a back-to-back scenario on the front end. You're actually sitting Embiid on a back-to-back on the front end, not the second end. Shows you the importance where the Sixers have not been able to beat the Celtics, where they're going to go all in to try to beat them the very next night. But also, let's not forget, Boston coming off a poor outing versus the Denver Nuggets, last night. So looking to bounce back, see what they can do, and lock into some playoff position. The NIT, Teddy, we talk about, Embiid sitting out, Zeller sitting out. How about a pro football type of scenario that we saw in NCAA basketball? Got a guy sitting out tonight in the NIT for who, for what, as they like to say, as a key ingredient there. Arkansas center Daniel Gafford is going pro. He's going to sit this out. And he's not just one of those guys that said, hey, might have a bright future. He's been a key integral part of this team. Providence at home in the Dunkin' Donuts Center, favored by 6. Looks like that line possibly on the move as well.
Yeah, Gafford matters. And look, when it comes to tournament play, I want teams that have these two combinations. I want a good guard play and a low post stud. Well, Arkansas is not playing with a low post stud tonight. Gafford matters. 17 points, 9 boards a game. He's going pro, not in the NBA, but he's going pro somewhere. I don't blame the kid for making that choice, but Razorbacks backers and Razorbacks fans, not going to be easy to go up to Providence and win or even hang tough without their stud big man.
Segment 3, Teddy, watch what you bet. Watching that betting show should be a good one. The dance officially starts tonight. We'll all be excited. We'll turn the game on. The casual viewers will say, what are these two teams doing out here? FDU is going to take on Prairie View. Line currently sit with Prairie View +2. Total of 149. Moneyline split of -135 +115. 640 tonight, Teddy. 340 out there on the West Coast. It gets started early. It should be fun. Most people don't know too much about these teams. At FDU in line games this year, Teddy, 16-8 against the spread, 9-3 against the spread as a favorite, and 3-0 in March. Coming in hot, Prairie View 11-12 on the season. In their line games, 4-6 as a dog, and 3-1 in March as well. The dance is underway, part 1.
Yeah, I had a friend whose brother went to Prairie View. We called it Fairly Ridiculous for whatever reason, which was funny. Look, these are not two teams that I've watched all year. These are not two teams that I've been betting on all year. So I'm not going to sit here and give you a strong opinion about two teams that I don't know. I don't know them. They're in the NCAA tournament. Great. They'll both be out by Thursday. But nonetheless, for tonight, look, Prairie View hasn't been in a tournament in 20 years. The SWAC has been awful, ATS tournament-wise. That being said, you look at the other side of the equation. Fairleigh Dickinson ranks number 295th in defensive efficiency. Points? Pace? I don't know. Maybe a slightest of lean to the overs, but these are not teams I know well. There'll be all kinds of other great opportunities to bet over the next week. I'm not going to go nuts on this one. Clear pass for me.
Teddy, I thought I had you marked down for a 20-dime game of the year in this early one, so I must have misread that tone from me there. Welcome to the dance part 2. This is the game I'm waiting for. Temple Owls fan, North Broad Street, get that nice victory versus UCF, then go out, celebrate a couple days, get dropped by Wichita. Now you're right back in the bucket here. Opening night in the NCAA action. This one should be a good one between Belmont and Temple. And yes, you're reading that correctly there. Temple is getting 3, was high as 4 and 3.5 a little bit earlier this morning, but looks like it's backtracking a bit. Total at 154.5. Some key injury information. If you've watched Belmont all season long, really good basketball team, highly efficient. The inside-outside game works perfect, and that's where Nick Muszynski comes into with an ankle injury that Coach Rick Byrd said he should be ready to go in this one, but how effective he'll be will make the difference. If you watched in the OVC championship, not having him at center really upset the balance, because anybody that knows basketball, if you have an elite big man on the low blocks that can score, make moves, and pass, it frees up your flamethrowers from three-point range. They're going to need that tonight. Temple comes in after dropping that game to Wichita State. Should be a decent one here. Temple 15-15 against the spread in all line games this year. Belmont 18-10. What are we looking forward to here, Teddy?
True TV is what I'm looking forward to. You know what I love about True TV is that you wake up the next morning and like Lizard Lick Towing is on. And you're like, what the hell was I watching last night? Oh, yeah, it's True TV. The only time of year that you see it. All that being said, this game looks great. It looks like a lot of fun because it's two teams that really play into their opponent's weakness. What does Belmont do? Look, Belmont can score. I mean, from an offensive efficiency standpoint, this team is tremendous. They lead the nation in assists per game. 1.71 assist to turnover ratio. That's second in the country. Number 1 in the country is a number 1 seed in Gonzaga. Second best scoring offense in Division I. Just under 50% shooting, 4th in the country at that. And, we're talking about a bunch of scorers. No question about it. But Temple's not going to play at Belmont's pace. They're not going to fly up and down the court. That's not what Fran Dunphy's team at any point has done at any point during his tenure there. And Temple's got the veteran guards, and Shiz Alston and Quentin Rose, the junior, and Shiz the senior. They have what we look for out of underdogs come tournament time. They play defense, the veteran backcourt, and they value possessions. Unlike Belmont, who does turn the ball over sometimes. Temple never turns it over. They're, the 13th in the country in terms of fewest turnovers per game. Some of that has to do with pace, but a lot of that has to do with a veteran guard duo that you like come tournament time. This one should be a lot of fun. It really should be. I was leaning Belmont. The more I thought about it, the more I didn't want to bet against Temple tonight. No surprise here. If this game comes down to the final minute, whoever executes best down the stretch gets the money and survives in advance to the first round of the tournament.
Yeah, it's always interesting there, especially when you're dealing with an injury to a key player. What actual effect are you going to get out of that? One thing I want to ask you also, Teddy, is you're playing in Dayton here. Obviously, all four fan bases will be in attendance today. It's not a big environment, but notoriously a little bit tight on the rims. We know watching Belmont, they're going to let it fly from three-point range. Windler is probably the single best three-point shooter I've seen all year long. Talk about maybe the pressure of this environment, a new gym where you haven't played at, and if you're so reliant on shooting the three-point shot, because the one thing we know about Temple, which Shiz Alston and Quentin Rose, they're going to be able to get to the rack. They're going to be bigger, faster, and more physical than Belmont is when they're more of a finesse team shooting threes. Any effect on your edge and capping when you say, you know what, this team's really relying on three balls and they haven't played here or in this atmosphere before?
Well, let me ask you that. First of all, yes, that does come into play, but you said the Temple should be able to get to the rack. That's why the condition of Muszynski is so huge tonight, because it's a guy, blocked, 2.5 shots a game this season in Ohio Valley Conference play. So if they have their shot blocker, makes an enormous difference to stop the Owls' penetration. When it comes to three-point shooting teams, I am always concerned in these big, cavernous first-round venues for the NCAA tournament. And in general, if I'm backing a team that's a good three-point shooting team in the first round, I'm doing it because they got a low-post scorer to go along with it. You need that inside balance, and sometimes these shots don't fall. You talk about the tight rims. That's the biggest thing. Boy, this total is not a Temple total, sitting here at 155, 154.5 in that range. If the Owls play at their pace, this game's not going over the total.
Yeah, exactly. Inside-out game, which they missed against Murray State, where all of a sudden, Teddy, instead of shooting wide-open three-point shots, you're getting locked on because you don't have that big down-low presence. Should be a fun one to watch. Fresh off a loss to the Knicks, Teddy, in the NBA, LeBron James, he's going to want redemption. He's going to want to get back out there. He was blocked at the buzzer. He can't stand this embarrassment, but he's going to sit this one out tonight, and so is Giannis. So we see a movement in total. When we were making up the script today, Teddy, the Bucks were as high as 13.5. Now went back down to 11. Over/under dropping as well to 230. The two big stars are out. NBA TV ratings going to be in the tank for this one, Teddy?
Yeah, well, I'll be watching True TV instead of the Lakers and the Bucks. Look, Milwaukee is in position to clinch the number one seed, something that they haven't had since 1970 or something, crazy like that. And they lost on Sunday to Philly, but the Raptors lost the same day to the Pistons. So it worked out. Lots of talk from Milwaukee about bouncing back strong. Of course, some of it came from Giannis, who's not going to play tonight. But, tough games like this are going to help us in the future moving forward in the playoffs, because every game is going to be like tonight. Hopefully we learn from it. When we're in the same situation in the future, we can react better. So they're coming off a huge game that they lost. All right. They haven't locked the number one seed, but they're in good position in the number one seed. And all they have to do is win this game, survive in advance. This is not a spot where I'm excited about laying any kind of price with the Milwaukee Bucks this evening. All that being said, taking the Lakers is a leap of faith. They've lost 8 of their last 9. Obviously, the epic meltdown against the Knicks on Sunday, where they blew an 11-point lead in the last 4 minutes, and LeBron sitting by himself on the sideline, and everybody going, social media-wise, going nuts. Lakers remember what happened the last time these two teams met, where L.A. was in control of that game for 3 quarters, and the Bucks came in the fourth and just dominated, blew the Lakers off the floor, ended up winning by 11. The last 4 minutes, all Milwaukee. They were draining threes down the stretch in that contest. But it's worth noting, Malcolm Brogdon was huge for the Bucks in that game. He scored 21 in that contest. Brogdon, who's not going to move the needle on a point spread, he matters. He matters defensively. He matters offensively. Mirotic started with in his place the other night. He went 0 for 6 from three-point range and was a sieve on the defensive end. This is an impact injury for Milwaukee that is not being reflected in the point spread. Not just Giannis tonight. They're down 2 starters maybe you take a leap with the Lakers. It'd be Lakers or pass, I'll tell you that much. The value, in my mind, clearly on LA's side. And maybe with LeBron not playing, the rest of the team steps up.
Yeah, no, should be an interesting one to watch. If you're not watching True TV tonight, Teddy, off the mic segment today, don't forget about opening day, Teddy. I know you're going to have that pot of coffee burning for the 3:30 a.m. Actually, no, 2:30 a.m. start. Why do you even need to sleep, Teddy? Just going to watch that Temple Belmont game, roll it right over in the baseball season. The only problem I have with this is it just doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to have the baseball game, I get it. You're going to play it to their time in Japan. But it's opening day in Major League Baseball, which I'm always enthusiastic and looking forward to it. Probably won't be up at 5:30 a.m. I'll catch the highlights a little bit later between Fires and Gonzalez getting after it. Teddy, good or bad thing, or does it even matter here? Major League Baseball opening up overseas and then saying, hey, guys, next week we'll be back over there for you.
Couldn't be dumber. I mean, what does MLB do right? Compare this to week 1 in the NFL. Okay, we are recording on, what is it? Well, I forget what day it is. What's it, Tuesday morning? We're recording on Tuesday morning right now. Okay, less than 24 hours before the first pitch. Less than 16 hours before the first pitch. There's no lineup for this game. No line, no side, no total, no nothing. Not one book in the world has a line for baseball. You go out and ask a casual fan, hey, when's opening day? No one say, oh, at 2:30 a.m. tonight. Compare it to week 1 in the NFL. Week 1 NFL lines will be up the day after the draft. All right, they'll be there for 4 months. Attracting attention, attracting betting action, attracting interest. Baseball? No, let's put our open. The NFL's opening night is a Thursday night game, one single event game, national TV. Everyone watches, and everyone watches Sunday, and everyone watches Monday night. Baseball, they literally have their opening day at 5:30 at an Eastern time on a Wednesday morning. It couldn't be dumber. MLB blacks out games. They keep clips off social media. They want no betting preseason. They do just about everything wrong. They're handing out $300 million contracts. Attendance is going down. Good luck, baseball. Knock yourselves out with this great, brilliant idea of starting opening day at 2:30 in the morning on March Madness week on Wednesday. Couldn't be dumber.
Let's also forget, Teddy, the reason the lineups aren't out there is because they didn't go through the commissioner's office to get approval before sending out to Sports Information Networks. But that's just amazing. That's Major League Baseball. It's what they do. If you're up late at night and you just got done and you're trying to schedule your next round of games in NCAA tournament, hey, guys, baseball will be on. And what channel is it on? I have no idea. Been that betting show for March 19th, 2019. Your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Savransky at Teddy_Covers on Twitter. I'm Donnie Seymour, right side VP. We'll catch you tomorrow and get you updated on everything March Madness here at sportsbookreview.com. Have a good night, fellas.